It is a little hot up here. Thank you for having me here today. So I wrote down some questions, and there's some things that I have been thinking about and trying to overcome. My biggest thing...
And what's happened to you as a result of being in this room today? Has anything shifted?
A lot. Yes, a lot has shifted.
So try to incorporate that shift into the things that you want to talk to us about. Don't go back to how you felt before we had these conversations. Start with your new understanding. You see what we're getting at?
Yes.
Sort of like if you're here and you want to go 20 miles that way, but yesterday you were over there, you don't need to go where you were yesterday and then where you want it. You can just start from where you are. In other words, it's a shorter distance in understanding from where you now are to where you want to go. So, because you do have that sort of tendency.
Yes. Yes, the U-turn. So it's fear of loss is something that I have not been able to overcome. And then also it's like attaching and not being able to let go. So fear of loss and being able to let go. My question is, how do I let go without feeling?
Well, first let's talk about the good thing about fear of loss. It means you care about what you're fearing about losing. And isn't it natural when you care about something that you want to think about it? You want to think about it in a way that feels good to you. So when you think about the opposite of what you want, when your inner being is thinking about what you want, then that's what you're feeling. That's all that fear is. That fear is only your inner being saying, hey, you're focused upon it in opposition to what you want and opposition to what we're focusing upon. That's all it means. And if you can accept that intellectually.
So accept what I want?
Accept what the guidance actually is. Tell us something that you want. Something not sensitive, something that you want. Something light that we can be playful about. Tell us something that you want to do, that you want to have. Tell us something.
I want a horse.
No, can't have a horse. No.
Why?
No reason, no. No horse.
Why not?
No horse.
Please?
No horse.
Like, seriously.
No horse.
Please.
No horse. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Horse.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. All right, so that's exactly what's going on.
Yes.
That's exactly.
No.
Only you're the one saying no, and your inner being is the one saying yes. That's why you feel negative emotion. That's why you feel fear of loss of something. Your inner being is saying yes, you ask for it, it's in your vortex. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And after a little while, you develop these patterns of just not feeling so good. That's helpful.
Choose to feel good.
Yeah. So when you realize what negative emotion is or what fear is, it's not an indication of something to come, it's an indication of something you're doing right now. And the more you care about something, the greater that feeling of fear of loss will be when you focus in opposition to it. But it turns out nothing is ever lost. Nothing is ever lost. Nothing that is important to you will ever go away from you, ever, ever. You'll just find richer, deeper, more meaningful ways to experience it. There is no such thing as losing anything. There's no such thing as regression. There's no such thing as anything that matters to you going away. And there's no such thing of you ever being less than you now are. Oh, you cannot regress. It cannot happen. But focusing on the idea of regression, or focusing on the idea of loss, or focusing on the idea of stepping back or becoming less than what you've actually become, that's a flawed premise. Do you know that as you live life and you ask for more, even when you don't realize that you are, you know you're asking for the horse, but what you've really been asking for is a friend and companionship and someone who loves unconditionally. What you're really asking for is something that's fun and something that's free. In other words, you put lots of those components in before the idea of the horse was hatched. You just didn't first crack out of the box say, I want a horse. There was so much in your vibrational vortex, then that became the idea that would satisfy that, you see. All of a sudden, Esther, one day after meditation, she felt this really powerful urge for a van. A van, she has vans, she has all kinds of, but a van small enough she can handle on her own, with all of the conveniences that she might want, so that she can take it to the beach and spend the day and enjoy being at the beach with a bathroom, with a stove, with all of the things that she wants. And in the moment that it hatched, it was so strong. But it didn't just all of a sudden happen. It happened because she'd been to the beach and she wanted a bathroom, and she went to the bathroom and she lost her parking place. It happened from the things that she was experiencing. And because of the experiences she's had with the comfort of those kind of things before, once it erupted, it was like there was no question that this was something that she wanted. Now, if she'd said to herself, no, it's too much trouble, that would feel uncomfortable, because her desire is really strong. Yes, it's trouble because you got to go get it, and yes, it's trouble because you've got to license it, and yes, it's trouble because you got to figure out how to run it, and yes, it's trouble because the first night you bring it home you don't know how to push the buttons right and the battery goes dead. Yes, all of those things are experiences that you have, but the desire for the van is triumphant, just like your desire for the horse is too, and you're not going to let it go. And your inner being is like a dog on a bone, not letting go of anything that you've put into that vortex. And when you give up on things that you want, you don't feel good. And then you say, oh, I don't feel so good. I have fear of loss, or fear of failure, or I have this negative emotion or this one. And we say, all you have is lack of belief that you can be or do or have anything that you want, when your inner being knows for sure that you can be or do or have anything that you want. Helpful?
Very, yes.
Yeah. Something else?
So I just want to confirm.
No.
Well,
no.
I feel
no
like
horse
when he...
and no confirmation.
My dad left. He made the transition, and then it was like he left me. Okay, I had the rest of my life. You know, he was here, the best dad in my everything that ever I wanted, I had. There was no. I didn't understand no. I still no doesn't really mean anything to me.
Yeah.
And you know, it was yes. Yes is very prominent in my life, and I like that word. But you know, it's like he left, and then like people, even like, you know, either they die or they move on, or you know, just friendships, relationships, they leave, and then I feel like I'm alone, and I don't want to be alone.
Well, there are some things that we want to say to you. First, we want to say that it's never a good idea to get too dependent on any other human, because they are fickle. We agree with you. They go away, they croak, they do all kinds of things. And so if you're depending upon their gaze for your well-being, you can be left with some feelings of insecurity. It's your inner being and your connection to who you really are that we are most wanting you to discover the connection of. And then you can have that feeling of well-being and homecoming and all is wellness all the time. But even having said that, it is so logical that when you are used to having someone in your experience, even someone that you are depending upon in some ways for moral support or even financial support or even humor or even attention, it's normal that when they are not now in their physical bodies giving that to you, that you would feel the loss of that. That's perfectly normal. But because it feels so awful, you've got to find some way to compensate. You've got to find some way, because in the format of someone being physical, once they've made their transition, you know, it's just logical and it's real that your father is not going to return into his physical body and experience life with you in the way that he once did. But you can have the experience with your father that's even more than you ever had it, because he didn't really go away. He did change his point of consciousness. His vibration is at a much higher level. You don't recognize him in some ways because there's no resistance whatsoever in his vibration, but you still have access to him. You don't have to experience the loss of him because he did not go anywhere, but you did. When he left his physical body, you stopped believing in the existence and the reality of him. Almost everybody does that. And with good reason, because things are different. The toothbrush isn't still in the drawer, and the towel isn't still on the floor, and there are just things that are different when they're not moving around in their physical body. But there are things that are way different and way better too, you see. And if you think that your father liked to say yes to you when he was with you in his physical body, oh, you have no idea how much he likes to say yes to you now. Yes, yes, you can have a horse.
Okay.
Yes, yes, Yes. But it takes a little adjusting. You have to first just logically accept that they are different. But your desire for the reconnection is so powerful that it won't go away. And that's why this fear of loss feels so strong within you right now. Because you can't let go of the reality of your father. And yet, since he's not there, you keep telling yourself, and others tell you, you've just got to cope. You just got to let that go. And you can't let something go that will always be a presence in your experience. Sort of getting what we're saying?
Yeah.
And so don't beat up on yourself about how difficult this is in the beginning. What helped Esther when Jerry made his transition? One day, we said to Esther, you've got to stop looking for Jerry where he isn't and start looking for him where he is. That really helped her, because everywhere she'd looked, that's someplace that he'd been, and the fact that she didn't now see him there then took her to this very low, uncomfortable vibration where she couldn't find him.
But it hurts because I had horses with him, and then he left, and then now I look at horses, and then I get sad that he's not here. And then
That's what we just said to you. That's what we just...
How do I make it happy?
It's what we just said to you, that you look where you used to see him and he's not there, and then you feel that discomfort, which is the indication that you're in a vibration where you can't see him. So it's such an interesting circle, isn't it? I feel bad because I can't see him, and I can't see him because I feel bad. I feel bad because I can't see him, and I can't see him because I feel bad. Well, what are you going to do with that?
So start feeling good and start seeing him where I want him.
By getting off the subject of it, and by hearing us when we say, don't look for him where he isn't, look for him where he is, because he is aware of you, and you know that. You have many experiences where you can feel him, but almost as soon as you feel him, then you look for him and you can't see him, and then you feel bad. So you turn what could be wonderful into something that doesn't feel so wonderful. We get it. This is the whole problem with the human race. Here it is, right here, right now. We'll tell you what your problem is. Your problem is that you are so action oriented. You are so see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it oriented. You are so enamored with your ability to translate things into the full physical form that you're hooked on the full physical form. And even though everything around you, all this vibrational resources around you, you don't let yourself feel all this vibrational resource because it doesn't look the way you want it to look. So everything that we've been talking about here today has been about finding the uncondition of it. Find the uncondition of it just for a little while. And we know that you're going to make it, and that it's not going to be much longer before you really understand what we're saying, because you so much want to feel good. You know how we know how much you want to feel good? Because of how bad you feel when you don't feel good. You feel so bad when you don't feel good, because feeling good is so natural to you. And you feel so bad when you don't feel good because your Father is focused upon you feeling good in such a powerful way that when you don't go there, then this big amplification of who you really are and how you ought to be feeling, the juxtaposition of that just feels awful. That's guidance at its best, you see. Guidance at its best. Yeah. Enough?